Hallelujah. Grab your Korans. Just grab them, get them out. Get your Korans out. And, not like these people, you know what I mean? Most of these people, they just entertain real quick. That's what they want. But for those who really want to know and get into these books, because one thing about it, me being a student of the late and great Moreh Elisha Israel, was we saw somebody use their book against them. They didn't, go all these different things. They actually just purely went to their book. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to deal purely with their book. So we ain't going to just be doing a whole bunch of talking. Grab your Quran. Why don't you own a Quran yet? Why don't know that the Israelites really talk about the Quran like it's not important? Talk about the Quran like it's not important. They don't even bring it up. They don't know. They don't even want to go in it. But many of our brothers and sisters are Muslims. They couldn't help them if they wanted to. So grab your Qurans. It's easy to do. It's easy to show the foolishness and wickedness in the Quran. Get a Quran. $11. What's $11? What's 11? What? I mean, it's less than that. A lot of Qurans are less than that. Truthfully, I'm just talking about how much mine was. And get one. And just check this video out. Check it out. Get a Quran. When I say go to this verse, this chapter in this verse, and I can show you all these things in the Quran. So as soon as you get a Quran, you can go to one of my older videos or whatever. But when you get a Quran, like I said, when the Moreh Elisha Israel went in their own book and showed them 20 verses in the book, gave you a good understanding of those verses so that you can open the book and say, yeah, I can understand this, I can understand this, I can understand this in the book and that. Get familiar with the book, be able to pick the book up, open it, read it, understand it, ask questions. So grab your Quran, get a Quran. Why you only got the Bible? When we got all these Muslim brothers and sisters, we got Nation of Islam, even though they're going to duck the Quran, they're going to use what they want to use. They definitely use the Quran when they want to. We got the 5% brothers who call themselves Muslim, arm, leg, arm, head. But grab the Qurans. We already beat up on the Quran in the Moorish Science Temple. That's no problem. Right now, I'm about to just go through the Quran. I'm hitting at least 40 verses in the Quran. So grab your Quran and get your highlighter. Once you buy a Quran, you just listen up. I mean, not as you listen up, you can go to one of my old videos. I got it all in notes and just highlight the places. Maybe put a sticky note. And whenever somebody wants to discuss why you're not in Islam, you can just go to these verses easily. Don't worry about it. You don't even have to really know what it is. Have it highlighted. I can guarantee you it's garbage and falsehood. Guaranteed. So, but let's get a little bit into it. Let's get into it. In the Quran, uh, the Quran. I just mentioned this, even though it's not the hottest thing, but I'm gonna mention everything. Like I said, I got about at least 50 chapter and verses I want to go to. But this is just one right here that I thought was interesting. I'm gonna read it. This is chapter 9, verse 81. And it says, those who are left behind rejoice in their inaction behind the back of the messenger of the deity. Now, of course, I say the deity because ALLAH is the name of a false god. And of course, according to Exodus 23 and 13, we're not supposed to say the name of false gods. I was talking to one of my friends, and I ain't even finished the whole verse, but I'm gonna finish it. But I was talking to one of my friends, and I kept saying JC. I said, don't say JC. He's not your friend. That is, I mean, but he's a false deity. He's a deity, You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say that name. But let me continue though. And it says, I'm gonna read it over. Those who were left behind rejoice in their inaction behind the back of the messenger of the deity. They hated and strive and fight with their goods and their person in the name of the deity, in the cause of the deity. And they said, go not forth in the heat. Say, the fire of hell is fiercer in heat, if only they could understand. So right here, I'm seeing that the Quran is promoting this whole sense of hell being a fiery place. All right. The same thing that these Christians promote, even though you can't find it at all. You know, of course, we talk about the grave, we talk about Sheol. We're not talking about this fiery place. But I say I want to continue because I really don't want to touch on this. Just want to show how the Quran has Christian concepts as well. But I'm gonna continue. Right here in the Quran, it lets you know that the Quran doesn't talk about it talks negative about black people, period. But right here it says that the deity Allah loves Arabs. So them Arabs at the store, the Arabs at your store is who the deity loves. Let me just read this though. This is chapter 9, verse 99. But some of the desert Arabs believe in the deity in the last day and took on their payments as pious gifts, bringing them near to the deity and obtaining prayer of the messenger. Indeed, they bring him near to the deity. Soon will the deity admit to them his mercy, for the deities are forgiving merciful. So let me read it again. But some of the desert Arabs believe in the deity in the last day. So it's talking about the desert Arabs. And that's the one where it talks very nice about the desert Arabs. Now, let me just show you this right here. This right here is my beat up Quran that I had burnt in a previous video, but I still have all the chapters and verses. I didn't burn that part of my Quran because even though I have bought a new one, so I can burn that part of this Quran, but I won't. But here it goes. I'm reading out of. Now, right here, I like this part because it tells the Muslim to wash his face with dirt, which I'm really mad at myself because I do spontaneously open the Quran just to see if I can find something. You know, I open it randomly and start reading a chapter, hoping I can find something. And I found something that was very interesting because when reading this chapter and verse where it talks about wiping your face with dirt before you go and pray, because you gotta purify yourself before you pray as a Muslim, and they pray 5 times a day, so they wash their faces, their hands, and all that type of stuff. But if they can't find water, they protect themselves with dirt and wipe their faces. But in this one, it was a verse that was talking about how it was a negative thing to have a dirty face and your face is filled with dirt. It said it in a negative connotation. But let me read this though. It says, O ye who believe, when ye prepare for prayer, wash your faces and your hands to the elbows. Rub your heads and wash your feet into the ankles. If you're in a state of ceremony and purity, bathe your whole body. But if you are ill or on a journey, or one of you comes forth office of nature and have been in contact with women, and you find no water, and betake yourself clean sand or earth, and rub your faces and your hands. The deity does not wish to place a difficulty, but to make you clean and to complete his favor unto you, that it may be grateful. Now, this is now just to make it clear, this is saying if you ever in contact with women, meaning sex, or you just come off a privy, meaning you just got done using a bathroom and you cannot find water, you betake yourself dirt and pure earth. But let me continue. Right here, the deity in the Quran, chapter 16, verse 77, says the deity is unseen. Now we know that the Abraham seen the Almighty with the 2 angels. As we know, Moses was face to face. But the New Testament says nobody has seen the Almighty. That's what the New Testament says. But right here in the Quran, it says Allah is the unseen of the heavens and the earth, and the matter of the hour is but the twinkling of the eye, or is higher still. Surely the deity has power over all things. So right here it says that their God is unseen of the heavens and earth. He was not being seen. So just to set the record straight, the deity of the Quran was not seen. And of course, it'll let it be known that JC is not the Most High or even the Most High's son in the Quran. Now, right here in the Quran, it says you can have sex with a woman that is your slave. It's a married woman that is your slave. It says in Surah 4, Ayat 34, chapter 4, verse 24, and all married women except those who your right hand possesses. This is the deity's ordinance to you, and lawful for you are all women besides those provided that you seek them with your property, taking them in marriage, not committing fornication. So you can deal with all married women except the married women who your right hand possesses. So you can have the married women who your right hand possesses, according to chapter 4, verse 24 in the Quran. In the Quran, it tells you to keep the Sabbath day. According to chapter 2, verse 65, it says, "And well ye knew who's amongst you who transgress in the matter of the Sabbath. We said unto them, be ye apes, despised and rejected." Right here, it's let it be known that those who went against the Sabbath were despised and rejected. O ye people of the book, believe in what ye have now revealed, confirming that was already with you before. We changed the face and fame of some of you beyond all recognition, and turned them hinderwards, or cursed them as we cursed the Sabbath breakers, for the dissension of the deity must be carried out. Right here, they cursing the Sabbath breakers, as we can see in the Quran. And for their covenant we raised over them the towering height of Mount Sinai. And on another occasion we said, enter the gate with humility. And once again we commanded them, transgress not in the matter of the Sabbath. And we took them from a silent event. So right here it's telling you to keep the Sabbath in the Quran. Ask any Muslim why they don't keep the Sabbath. They don't keep the Sabbath. They break the Sabbath just like the Christians break the Sabbath. So grab your Quran. It's obvious I don't do this for likes and all that, and give me a program so I can whatever people, you know what I'm saying? It's just not gonna be liked. But I really think it's like somebody got to do it. In the Quran, it talks about black faces going to hell and white faces going to heaven. You already know all this, but let's go through it. This is chapter 39 and 60. It says, on the day of judgment, wilt thou see those who told lies against the deity. Their faces will be turned black, They're not in hell in a bowl for the haughty. This is chapter 3, verse 106 through 7. On the day when some faces would turn white and some faces would turn black. Then as to those whose faces turn black, did you disbelieve after your believing? Taste therefore the chastisement because you disbelieve. As to those whose faces turn white, they shall be in the deity's mercy. In it they shall abide. We can go to many places in the Quran where it says they gave Moses the book. So why do we? So if they gave Moses the book, they didn't give him this Quran. They didn't give Moses no Quran. But we see many different places. Like for instance, you go to Surah 2 or chapter 2, ayah 87, where it says, "We gave Moses the book and followed him up with a succession of messengers. We gave Jesus, the son of Mary, clear signs and strengthened him with the Holy Spirit." Is it that whenever there comes to you a messenger with what ye yourselves desire not, ye are puffed up with pride? Some of ye called impostors, and other ye slay. And we gave Musa the book and made it a guidance to the children of Israel, saying, "Do not take a protector besides me." That's right here. It's talking about Moses. And it said we gave Moses the book. This is chapter 17, verse 2. Now we also got in the Quran, chapter 28, verse 43. Right here in chapter 28, verse 43 of the Quran, it says, and certainly we gave Musa the book after we had destroyed the former generations, clear arguments for men and guidance and mercy that they may be mindful. Okay? That's chapter 28 and then 43. And they gave Moses the book. Now, I just showed you that's already 3. But right here it says in chapter 10, verse 94, so if you, O Muhammad, are in doubt which concerning that which we have revealed unto you, then ask those who are reading the book before you, talking about those who are reading the Torah. Verily, the truth has come to you from your Lord. So be not of those who doubt it. So right there, it's also saying they gave Moses, those who had the book before you. All right, we barely sent Moses with our revelation, saying, "Bring thy people forth from darkness into light, and remind them of the days of the deity." Lo, therein are revelations for each steadfast, thankful heart. So right here in chapter 14, verse 5, it says also they sent Moses with our revelation. So Moses was sent with the revelation. As long as y'all can see that. Now this is getting your Quran. Grab it. Grab your Qurans. I want to read something I deem as a contradiction. It says right here in chapter 2, verse 106, whatever communications we abrogate or cause to be forgotten, we bring one better than it or like it. Do you not know what the deity has power over all things? Then it says, the messenger indeed have been denied. This is chapter 6, verse 34. The messenger indeed have been denied before thee, and they were patient under the denial and persecution till our successor reached them. Succour reached them. There is none to alter the decisions of the deity. Already there have reached thee the tidings of the messengers. So right here it says there is none to alter the decisions of the deity. Right here is verse 6, chapter 6, verse 34. But right here, chapter 2, verse 106, it says, for we bring one better than it or like it. So at one kind they say that we're not going to alter it. And then the other time they said they're going to bring something better or like it. And that's the one thing that Lord Abba tried to bring out, chapter 2, verse 106, where he said, yeah, well, this is not the same Quran. It's something better. That's why he said, we bring one better than it or like it. But the Circle 7 Quran is not better than the regular Quran. The Circle 7 Quran is more garbage than the regular Quran. But to continue, in the Quran, chapter 39 and 42, it says that the deity, that Muslim God, takes your soul when you are asleep. So this is what it says. It is the deity. Of course, whenever I say the deity, it's ALLAH. I refuse to say that false God's name. It is the deity who takes away the soul at the time of their death, and those that die not during their sleep. He keeps those souls for which he has ordained death and sends the rest for the term appointed. Verily, in this are the signs for the people who think deeply. So right here, yeah, he takes your soul when you're dead or when you're during your sleep. Now, right here, of course, it says that Islam is a religion. We're not part of a religion. Being an Israelite is a nationality, it's not a religion. But Islam will say many different times in the Quran that it's a religion. Let it be clear. It also says in the New Testament, in Book of James, chapter 1, I think it's 1 and 26 and 27, that it's a religion. That's what we're dealing with. But I'm going to read chapter 6, verse 159 to 161. Lo, as for those who sunder their religion and become skeptics, man, I'm gonna spell this word out. SCHISMATICS. Schismatics. Like I said, this ain't even the reason. I read it because it proves right here that Islam is a religion. It's many different places, even when it talks about the dietary law in Islam, where it calls it a religion. No concern at all has thou with them. Their case will go to the deity, who then will tell them what they used to do. Whoso bringeth a good deed will receive tenfold like it thereof, while whoso bringeth ill deeds will be awarded but the like thereof, and they will not be wronged. What? It says if you bring an ill deed, you'll be rewarded the like thereof. I mean, you should be rewarded illness back, and they will not be wronged. All right, I'm out of here. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading though. Say, lo, as for me, my Lord have guided me into the straight path, a right religion, the community of Abraham, the upright, who was no idolater. So right here, we're seeing it's calling it the right religion. It's clear it's the right religion, but me reading it, I'm seeing more garbage in it as I read it. This is chapter 6, 159. It's saying that if you do ill, you will not be wronged. Don't you supposed to be wrong for doing wrong? Like you're supposed to have some type of penalty. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, he would not be wrong. It is what it is. You know, I'm not gonna stress on. I'm gonna show another lie in the Quran. This is chapter 7 and 20, where it says that Satan was the snake in the garden. And in the Adam and Eve story, that it was really Satan that had sex with Eve. They didn't say all that in the Quran. That said that in Jewish mysticism. But I'm just saying in the Quran, it says Satan was a snake. Let me read it. This is chapter 6 and 20. And it says, then began Satan to whisper suggestions to them, bringing them openly before their minds all their shame that was hidden from them before. He said, your Lord only forbids you this tree, lest ye should become angels or such being as live forever. So we're just talking about, the tree and things of that nature. Just talking about, but it says Satan did it. But it's really this is talking about the serpent in the garden. It's not talking about Satan. But people believe it's the same person. That's that same Christian lie, and it's a Muslim lie too. So the Christians and the Muslim got it all messed up. But the Jews may take it a step further and say, yeah, it was Satan. The snake was Satan. But not only that, it wasn't an apple or it wasn't a fruit that she ate. She had sex with the snake and produced Cain, and Cain was half angel because Satan's an angel. So Cain was half angel. So, like I said, the Quran, it just feeds in the New Testament lies and Jewish mysticism lies. That Satan was the snake. Right here, I heard Quran. He had a this Muslim, he had a compelling argument to say that um intoxicants, because of course the Quran condemns intoxicants. I'm gonna read chapter 5 verse 90 where it said, "Oh, you who believe, intoxicants, all kinds of alcoholic drinks, gambling are an abomination of Shaitan handiwork. So avoid that abomination in order that you may be successful." You can look it up yourself. This is the Quran, chapter 5 and verse 90. So intoxicants are evil. Now, I'm gonna go to chapter 2, and like I said, I got my little beat up Quran right here. Because I beat the Quran up, not only, but it's just beat up because I be in it. Like the New Testament, but the New Testament get beat up so long. People need to move, I mean, the New Testament is really old. If you still believe in that garbage, it's really a problem. But chapter 2, verse 219, it says, they ask you about intoxicants and games of chance. Say, in both of them are a great sin and means of profit for men, and their sin is greater than their profit. And they ask you as to what they should spend. Say, what you can spare. Thus does the deity make clear to you the communications that you may ponder. Right here it says that intoxicants and games of chance, both of them are a great sin. This is chapter 2, verse 219. Now we know the Arab is selling all types of intoxicants. They know it's a great, if they think it's a great sin, which I'm not even about to go there with it, but they think it's a great sin. Now, of course, somebody get their little wine or whatever, but don't let me instruct you on, what I mean? I'm gonna just show you how the Quran is just all types of garbage, and we gonna, let the mores of the house of Israel's on the Sabbath day and all that type of stuff really get to break down all them different terms, you know what I'm saying, and what you should and should not eat, whether it be the GMOs or whatever the case is, man, going into real depth with it. But while I'm beating up the Quran, right here, it says they had rivers of wine. They had rivers of wine, though. Let me read it. This is chapter 47, verse 15. You all are on the computer, so you can just type it in. It says, the description of paradise which the Mutaquin have been promised is that in there are rivers of water, the taste and smell of which are not changed, rivers of milk in which the taste never changes, rivers of wine delicious to drink, and rivers of clarified honey, clear and pure. Therein for them is every kind of fruit and forgiveness from their Lord. There these are like those who shall dwell forever in the fire and be given to drink boiling water that cuts up their bowels. So right here in paradise, talk about a different paradise, then talk about the ones that supposed to be in this fiery place, in which I described as soon as I got on here. The Quran's versions of hell, because it's a whole bunch of fire and stuff, just like the Christians believe. The Quran does the same thing with all types of hellfire and stuff. But right here, It had rivers of wine. Now, of course, the Quran is going to say it's not alcoholic. It's non-alcoholic. It's just non-alcoholic wine. I mean, I don't see how they. One of them tried to make a compelling argument with the Quran, and I thought it was a compelling argument. It really wasn't because it said wine. Wine is well. If they want to make it non-alcoholic, they can do that with the little notes that they have on the bottom of the page. But yeah, the intoxicants are of Satan, as they said. But to continue, a bunch of lies in the Quran. You can go to any chapter. No, I can't say that. You can go to any chapter in the well, you can go to any chapter in the New Testament. You can find lies. That's easy. I can definitely say that. I can have a book. I can have a New Testament that I never looked at. I don't have none of my notes in it. Even in the book of Jude, which is only one chapter, you can find a bunch of lies in it. But we're talking about the Quran today. Right here, it says all foods are lawful for the Torah. This is a lie. But what does it say? This is chapter 3, verse 93. All foods was lawful to the children of Israel, except what Israel made unlawful for himself before Torah was revealed. Say, O Muhammad, bring there the Torah and recite it if you are truthful. Man, so it said all food was lawful to the children of Israel except what Israel made unlawful for himself before the Torah. So it said when the Torah came, they had to change it up. It's basically what the Quran is lying. The Quran is doing another lie. And that's why if the Quran was a person, I will grab the Quran by its esophagus and twist it because it lied on the Almighty's word. Of course, we know that Noah knew the difference between a clean and an unclean beast. So all we before Noah, of course, but at least right, you can clearly see in the Noah story that they knew this is before Torah and they knew the difference. But right here it says, I'm gonna read it one more time and then we'll move on. All food was lawful for the children of Israel, except what Israel made unlawful for himself before the Torah was revealed. So that means that all food was lawful except for what we didn't want, personally, like what we didn't like. Not what the Almighty already had, a righteous man on the earth that knew what to eat. No, it's just what we. But let me keep going though. I'm gonna read another lie in the Quran, but this is a funny lie because you can use this lie right here in the Quran. You can use this for many different things because this is what it says. Chapter 6, verse 38. Let me see. Yeah. There is not an animal in the earth, nor a flying creature flying on two wings, but there are people like unto you. We have neglected nothing in the book of our decrees. Then unto their Lord they will be gathered. So we have neglected nothing in the book. So why don't they ever mention one month to keep Ramadan? It's a bunch of things they left out in the book. Where does it talk about the penalty for a rapist? I mean, it's many different things in the Quran they left out. But like I said, this is one of the things where it says the Quran is complete, where you can put the Quran to task with that and see is the Quran complete? Now, like I said, the Ramadan is mentioned, but it doesn't tell you like what month, the fifth month, the seventh month, and they don't do that. So the Muslims make it up themselves. They say the ninth, but right here, Ramadan is mentioned in chapter 2, verse 185. But I want to get to this one thing, this one concept that's only in false books. You do not see in the Almighty's word, but you do see it in all the false books. And it's the concept of a rebellious angel, that this angel is going to fight against the Almighty. That one of the Almighty's hosts believes that it can beat the Creator somehow, or just be it's rebellious. We have even Satan in the book of Job. that is not rebellious against the Almighty. You know what I mean? But of course, in the New Testament, you have a whole fight against the Almighty. We got Satan and all his angels going against the Creator in the New Testament. But right here, we have rebellious angels in the Quran. Chapter 2, verse 34 says, and remember, we said to the angel, this is crazy in itself right here. We got the Quran, the God of the Muslims saying we said to the angels. The God of the Muslims. Now, check this concept. Because if you go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, and it says, let us make man in our image, right? The Christians always go, who is the us? Who is the us? It must be Christ. Must be. Somebody need to make that song. Somebody need to make that song. Must be Christ. Because you know the Messianics love to put him everywhere. Must be. But see, when we say let us, that's talking about the Almighty and the angel. The Creator and the angels next, with the Creator. That's the us. But right here in the Quran, it says we, which is plural, is talking to the angels. So the angels is not part of the we. We, meaning Allah, or the Muslim God, is calling itself we, and it's discussing something with the angels. So who is this plural? They like to say the royal. Let me keep reading, though. That's not even the point of what I'm reading. Let me get back to it. They rebellious angels. So my point is, the deity is talking to these angels, but they rebellious. When we said to the angels, prostrate yourself before Adam, and they prostrated, except Iblis. He refused and was proud and was one of the disbelievers. So as you can see, these rebellious angels is in the New Testament. They're in the book of Enoch. There's another one, chapter 17, verse 61. And remember when we said to the angels, prostrate unto Adam. They prostrated except Iblis. He said, shall I prostrate to one who was created from clay? Now, right here in the Quran, it's going to show you, this is the Quran, in chapter 3, verse 85, it's going to say that they don't accept anything other than Islam. So that means if you have an Islamic friend that reads the Quran, they read things like this. Chapter 3, verse 85 says, and whoso seeketh as religion other than the surrender to the deity, it will not be accepted from him, and he will be a loser in the hereafter. Surely you and what you worship beside the deity are firewood of hell. To it you shall come. That's chapter 21 and 98. This is what they said to the Christians, or to even to me. So what somebody in Islam would say. Surely you and what you worship beside Allah are firewood of hell. To it you shall come. Right here, we're seeing in the Quran that this is how they feel. Right here in chapter 3, verse 102, it says, O you who believe, be careful of the deity which with the care which is due to him, and do not die unless you're a Muslim. So do not die unless you are a Muslim. Right here, so right there is letting you be cleared that there is not accepting anything other than Islam in this Quran. But then then this Quran, I'm gonna turn it, will contradict itself. The Quran will contradict itself, of course. Because in chapter 2, verse 62, it says, those who believe in the Quran and those who follow the Jewish scriptures and the Christians and the Sabians, any who believe in the deity in the last days and work righteousness shall have their reward with that Lord unto them, shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. All right, so it says you can believe in the Jewish one, you can believe in the Christian one, you should have no fear, it's okay, you believe in something different, it's all right. That's the Quran. So it contradicts itself many times. I'm gonna show you another place where it says it's okay if you're a Christian or a Jew. Right here, those who believe in the Quran, those who follow the Jewish scriptures and the Sabian. This is chapter 5 and 69. It says this. Those who believe in the Quran, those who follow Jewish scriptures, and the Sabians and the Christians, any who believe in the deity in the last day and work righteousness, on them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. Right here, we're saying that it's okay to have a religion other than Islam. It's okay to do that. But as I showed you earlier, it's just not. They just say that if you, in fact, let me read the one before. It says, surely you and what you worship beside the deity are firewood of hell. To it you shall go. So I just, of course, I showed you at the beginning that according to the Quran, hell is that place with all that fire and all that type of stuff and things of that nature. So right here it says, you and what you believe is going to be firewood in hell. But then it turns around and says, those who believe in the Quran, those who follow the Jewish scriptures and the Sabians and the Christians, any who believe in the deity in the latter days and work righteousness, on them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. So on the Jews shall be no fear, on the Christians shall be no fear, as it says here. Like I said, it's a many different contradictions in this Quran. Moving on, it the relationship between Christians. Of course, it says in chapter 5 and verse 82 that Christians are your friends. So it says that a Christian is a Muslim's friend. Now, they both Christianity and Islam is false. And I do have Christian and Muslim friends that I do care about. So, you know, but let's see what the Quran says about it. Let's just say my people and I ain't supposed to hate them, you know what I mean? But because all our people, like my grandma, all my people's in falsehood, but I love them to death. You feel me? Love them to death. But let me keep going though, man. It says right here, Christians. It says right here, strongest among men in enmity to the believers wilt thou find the Jews and the pagans, and nearest among them in love to the believers wilt thou find those who say we are Christians, because among them are men devout to learning and men who have renounced the world and they are not arrogant. Right here, we're seeing that, yeah, the strongest in hate is the Jews and what? And the Jews and the pagans. But the nearest in friendships are the Christians. But then we're gonna see it turn around. Because they're gonna say the Christians are the enemy. Now this is chapter 5 and verse 51, where it says Christians are the enemies. Now I just showed you in chapter 5, verse 82, where they're your friends. Now I'm gonna take you in the same chapter 5, verse 51, that they're a Christian's enemy. All right. 5 and 51 says, "O you who have believed, do not take the Jews and the Christians as allies. They are allies of one another, and whoever is an ally to them among you, then indeed he is one of them. Indeed, the deity guides not the wrongdoing people." So right here, Christians are wrongdoers, and he does not guide them. Do not be their friends, even though they say you be nearest in friendship to them. So that's kind of like they tell you to be friends with them in one verse. That's the same thing as the New Testament. The New Testament, the New Testament in Romans 1 to 13 to say, if you do the law, you will be justified. And then in chapter 3 and 20, he says that no flesh shall be justified by doing the law. So it's kind of the same thing. It's first to tell you to be a Christian friend, and then you keep reading, and down, 30 lines down, maybe 30 sentences or whatever the case is, 30 verses down, you see him telling you to do the opposite thing. Internal confusion. You probably forgot what you read 30 verses up, so now you just in confusion. And that's what the Quran does. But I read something in the Quran which I just wrote it down because it's so similar to something in the New Testament that I just wanted to write it down because it was chapter 43 and 64 in the Quran. And it says, verily, the deity, he is my Lord. God and your God. So worship him alone. This is the only straight path. So right here, he's saying he is my God and your God, just like Christ says. What is that, John 20 and 17? I know he says in was that Revelations 3 and 12 that he has a God. So he said, my God and your God, my Father and your Father, like Christ says. Well, this is saying the same thing in the Quran. I just thought it was interesting. So I just noted it right here. But I'm gonna keep it moving. Okay, right here it says something very dumb. I'm gonna go to chapter 2 of the Quran, verse 168. Okay, okay. This is something positive. Let me just say, I guess I can get one line that's positive in the Quran. I was reading, I'm like, should I even say that? I mean, it actually says the right thing. Let me see. It says, "O mankind, eat from whatever is on earth that is lawful and good, and do not follow the footsteps of Satan. Indeed, he is your to you a clear enemy." So yeah, that was a good thing. I ain't gotta always dog the Quran. You know what I mean? It is a lot of good things, and that's what I'm saying. When it comes to duality, one of my brothers, brother Be Easy, a lot of y'all brothers know what I'm talking about. Be Easy in the congregation, because mostly the people in my congregation watch it. At least about half of my views, people in my congregation. Because of course you already know I don't get that much. But like I said, it's only really for my peoples in the congregation. Who else is gonna use the Quran against, you know what I mean? Who else does that but the Maury, Alicia Israel, and the brothers and sisters who listen to it or use the New Testament? Who else does that? But let me keep going though. Right here, it says, and I'm gonna end it off real quick though. I'm gonna end it off real soon. But it says fight in the way of the deity. And it says fight those who don't believe in the deity, who believe not in the deity. Let me go ahead. Let me go to this real quick, man. I'm gonna end it off soon. But this is chapter 9, verse 29. And it says in chapter 9, verse 29, you can't read it backwards anyway. Fight those who believe not in the deity, nor in the last day, nor forbid that which the deity and his messengers have forbidden, nor follow the religion of truth out of who has been given the book. So right here, I showed you earlier, it was talking about who was given the book. It said Moses was given the book, he was given the Torah. So we were talking about, it said, fight those who believe not in the deity, nor in the last day, nor forbid that which the deity and his messengers have forbidden, nor follow the religion of truth. So they don't even want you to follow the religion of truth out of those who've been given the book. It only wants you to follow the Torah. It tells you not to follow the Torah in chapter 9, verse 29. It says, fight them and fight people that do. So right here, we're seeing all types of wickedness in this Quran. It's easy, like I said, it's real easy. That's what I mean by a lot of their brothers. They always want to stick to the New Testament and want to talk about the Bible. They say, "Oh, we don't even want to go in the Quran." Like it's a waste of time. I really believe that they know it's not a waste of time to know how to beat on this Quran and this Islam lies. That's like the root of Islam right here. Even though the 5%ers of the nation of Islam, they try to swerve the Quran, but this is the root of Islam right here. You beat up with the Quran, that's a pillar. That's what's holding it up. It's like the Catholic Church started the Christianity. You know what I'm saying? This Quran is a pillar, but It's a lot more. It's a lot more stuff I can expose. Let me just brainstorm, man. There's stuff in the Quran where it gives you the incentive to kill yourself. You see these suicide bombers, but the Quran will basically say, you know, why are you holding on to your own life when the world after this you're gonna get so much more in the world after? You know what I'm saying? Like it does. You know, the Quran gives you it gives you the incentive to kill yourself, but and it also says that Christ didn't die on the cross. Let me read that one. Even though Christ is a fictional character, he never existed. He's like Marvel Comics. And if it was a person in those days, they could put that Christ on anybody for real. Because it ain't obviously the same name. We all know that whole little J situation. It's obviously not the same name, so they could put that character on anybody for real. But it's a I mean, I got four different stories. I mean, all the four gospels is different stories, saying different things. But chapter 4 of the Quran, 157 says that they said in both, we killed JC, the son of Mary, the messenger of the deity, but they killed him not, nor crucified him. But so it was made to appear to them, and those who differ therein are full of doubts, with no certain knowledge, but only conjecture to follow. For of a surety they killed him not. So right here, let it be known, man, for surety, Christ didn't die on the cross. Now, of course, I can show you other things in the Quran. I didn't really go into how, you can beat you what things you can do to your woman. You can have sex, you can prostitute your slaves and all that. You know how in the Quran it tells you you can have two sisters together and all that, and yeah, whatever the case. So just wanted to go in the Quran just because I think that it's always good to show how any documentation or any documents will have you breaking the commandments of the Almighty or basically just lying on the Almighty and His commandments and His word. So it's good to expose lies because the reason that we're in so much turmoil, so many people getting shot, so much wickedness on our people's mind is that we're engulfed in wickedness. We believe in vanity and lies, things that are not even real. The Quran, Islam, and all that garbage is just falsehood and wickedness. It's so easy to expose the lies. But of course, giving all praises to the mighty Yahweh. Dudes talk about, oh well, Yah isn't I mean they say all types of dumb stuff. People say hallelujah, giving praises to Yah. Hallelujah is the highest praise. It's not hallelujah way. Hallelujah. That's complete. It's complete. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. That's complete. And it just says Yah. What was it? Yahweh, Yahweh, Yah, this. Like, come on, man. And then since they don't know what to attach to Yah, they're not going to use the name at all. These people hate the Almighty. You know what I mean? So I don't even want to get into that deep, all that, but give them praise the mighty Yah.